Hello, everyone. My name is John, and I'm here to talk to you today about international business cultures. Especially in today's globalized world, it's becoming more and more important to understand people from different countries. So that's why today I've selected five of the most prominent international communities, and I want to highlight some of their cultural features with you. So, first, I've selected my own culture, and that's the United States. One of the key features of American culture is a high level of individualism. Americans care more about their own personal goals rather than group commitments. This makes the culture very competitive. You can see this in the fact that there are no guaranteed vacation days in American law. You can say Americans love to work. Something connected to this potentially is the fact that American culture is typically seen as very equal. There is not a very tall hierarchy in most business organizations. We call them flat. There's not a big distance between the bosses and superiors and the normal workers. Another feature of American culture is a high level of political correctness. We call it a PC society. Because the United States is not homogenous, there are many different groups there. So it's typically best to avoid making an inappropriate comment about one group, even if it's done as a joke, because you never know who is included in your circle. A final feature of American culture that I wanted to discuss is a high level of risk tolerance. Americans see no fault in doing anything risky. So if you fail, you're typically not punished. Americans believe in high risk, high reward. Another Western powerhouse that I wanted to discuss is Germany, Europe's biggest economy. German culture is typically seen as cold and emotionless, but there's a much more positive spin to these stereotypes. Germans can actually be seen as perfectionists. They like rules because they believe they're there for a reason. So they want order, they want to avoid any of the chaos you might have if you don't follow the rules and if you don't do everything the way it should be done. Germans are also very punctual. Time is highly valued, and being late is best avoided. Germans are also very formal and serious when it comes to their level of professionalism. So any inappropriate comments, even if they're made as jokes, should be left out of the boardroom, and you should just focus on business. Going to the other side of the world, I wanted to focus on Japan, which offers a stark contrast to these Western cultures. In Japan, risks are best avoided. The culture is very conservative. People can be punished for doing anything that's risky. In fact, companies can be legally accountable if their organizations go bankrupt, for example. The culture is typically very collective, so the group is more important than the individual, and elders or superiors are highly respected. So if your superior tells you to do something, most Japanese will do it without asking any questions. Another interesting fact about Japanese culture is that business cards are very important. They're exchanged at the beginning of any meeting, and they're actually commented on. It's not just a formality, it's something important to keep with you. And Japanese people also do not like personal physical contact, especially in the business setting. So at a business meeting, people bow instead of shaking hands. That's better for them than doing anything closer. So keep your distance. Now, Japan's neighbor China is also a huge, huge player internationally, so it's also important to look at their culture. There are two big rules that are found in Chinese culture. First, you have the philosophy of Confucianism, which says that people should respect their elders and people should have a long term orientation. They focus on future goals and not present goals. Another important fact about Chinese culture is communism. This makes the culture very conservative. They don't like change. They want to accept the status quo. They also listen to their elders, and they don't question any authority if it is not necessary. A finer culture I wanted to introduce is Mexico, or on a broader level, Latin America. In Latin American cultures, there's a very low level of individualism, so group tasks are also very important. But one key difference is that there's a high level of masculinity in Latin American cultures. Men and women operate in two different spheres, and there's something that is called gender differentiation. Men operate here, women operate here. Typically in business, men dominate, and there's a strong macho culture where men do all of the work, especially when it comes to high managers and anyone working in the boardroom. Finally, Mexico and Latin American cultures also avoid risk. They're very conservative. They don't want to do anything new. So that's best avoided. So these are my tips, my comments about these 5 cultures around the world. So in your next encounter with anyone from these cultures, hopefully you'll feel better prepared to adequately communicate with them. Best of luck, and thank you very much.